stand by for stage reset and house lights. Thanks, team, for another great show. I will see you all backstage.
This is Designed to Change, Backstage Conversations.
All right, welcome backstage, Fred. How do you feel right now?
Yeah, good, good. It's nice to talk shop with someone who I think has a pretty good understanding of the pain points of doing events and growing communities with all the challenges of the past year. So yeah, maybe even a bit therapeutic. Thanks.
And I think, we need people to sit on the same side of the table that you're at in order to think about the humanistic aspects of gathering, right? I think there are so many stakes and so many things that happen when people gather. And your event is, on paper 4 days, but I suppose there's so much happening before, during, after, clustered around what you're formally organizing, that it is almost an inhumane task to ride that tidal wave, and keep on top of it, I suppose, right? It to me, it sounds almost like your event is like that big wave in Portugal. I forget the name of the
Nazare, yeah.
Nazare, right? That when I see those videos, I can almost not imagine that a human being would crawl on a board and attempt even to kind of, challenge that. But for the spectators along the side, it's very spectacular.
Yeah.
How does it feel to stand on the board?
Well, I actually am a surfer, so I'm very comfortable improvising on a board. I never surfed Nazare, but I've done some decent waves here and there. Um, no, it's interesting because I think you need your own kind of. It's almost like you need to develop a mental framework for dealing with things on that scale that's a bit separate from your personal life, or because you're dealing with these macro forces where if you take everything on your shoulders and everything personally, it'll crush you. You can't control geopolitics. You can't control heat waves, or it's just so many things are out of your control.
Yeah.
So actually maybe adopting a bit of a stoic approach of just only putting energy on things that you can actually impact and change has been very helpful. Because again, to use the fire hose or the tidal wave analogy, the fire hose never stops. So then and time is a finite resource. So choosing very carefully what you put time on, what you prioritize, who you work with, who you trust, who you don't trust. I mean, you learn these things along the way. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's I think key to kind of surviving something that's moving so quick and that you actually see on the news every day. In the beginning, it was a bit unsettling, to be honest, where it's easy to take it on yourself, but then you realize you actually have good colleagues, you have a great institution like ITU, great partnerships with the UN partners, member states, and it's it's a shared responsibility. So you can't put everything on your shoulders.
It's not on your shoulders only, right? But obviously the leader of the, or the event owner.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of my question is, because as an event owner, making sure this thing goes well. It's the reputation of the ITU, of yourself, of everyone that supports the organization's mission. How is it for you to have multiple roles? Because I see you very often also as speaker, or you're presenting things, or at the UN General Assembly. You're the spokesperson. You have many different hats that you juggle when events are on. Is that possible? Can you be the event owner and the speaker at the event and the host can you combine all these roles, or would you recommend against it?
That's a good question. I mean, I think when you build something from scratch and you're involved in every little detail, and then you pay that attention to detail because, I mean, let's take the event experience, for example. I've really put a lot of attention with my colleagues and I to create these sort of really memorable experiences where, for example, how can you infuse AI into art and then through a performance actually educate people so they think about AI differently in relation to their work and their future and their kids and their partners and their community. So I've always tried to sort of beyond the traditional keynote or panel or whatever, really have this kind of user experience journey where no matter where you are in the venue, you're either seeing AI being used as a technology, or you can play with something, or as part of the opening ceremony, there's like an amazing AI inspired artist, which makes you question, am I going to be replaced or not, or how can I use AI creatively? So really getting into that level of detail, and also even when it comes to the branding and the messaging and everything, I think it would have been tempting or easy at one point to sort of outsource a lot of that to an event management company or to a partner. But I think it's in the doing and the building, you actually get that learning, which makes you and the team stronger and also better able to manage these shifting dynamics. So I think that's sort of one aspect, which is sort of the event part. And the other part is the content part, where because it's such a new topic, it's not like we jumped into, I don't know, let's say if I were going to create a new event on cybersecurity, long established field, expertise, whatever, then I would probably come at it as the event owner, controlling like the user journey, the experience, the business model and everything. But I wouldn't feel like I need to be an expert on cybersecurity because it's a long established field. And well, you want to leverage the experts and they're already there, right? But because AI was such a new field, well, not a new field, but it's at that point in time, it was like all of a sudden in the public domain and accelerating very quickly. I think to build credibility on why would a Turing Award winner want to come to ITU, you have to be, you need a certain amount of knowledge on the topic to convince them, because he has like 20 other options. And when you're sort of shifting from an AI expert to an academic to a CEO to a minister to a UN head, I think you need to continually adapt your messaging and the way you approach that person, and basically think about, okay, what keeps you up at night, and being able to answer that question in a way that's credible and founded in technical expertise to be able to convince them to all come at the same table. I think if you're not able to talk to them with a different brain individually, you might get two or three at the table, but you won't get all of them at the table. So I kind of think being able to speak about the topic credibly is just as important as being super involved in the nuts and bolts of the whole event and platform and community, and they kind of go hand in hand. And I think if I let one of those slip, then yeah, maybe things might not go in a good direction. So either if the content part slips, then it's like, well, you guys aren't credible anymore, or if the experience slips, then well, people might still come, but they'd be like, what a pity, last year was better, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, there's a sensation, and everybody's an expert at their own experience, I suppose, like going to a restaurant or, there's something ominous about being the event owner and having everyone invited to your party, right? As the host, you invariably, like you mentioned, you need to have the conversational techniques to entice them to be part of the adventure, right? Then you need to deliver the adventure, and then they need to have something to share about that adventure, which makes them come back or makes others come too, I suppose, right? Let's zoom out a minute from, because your event is obviously phenomenal. I'm gonna have to come next time. I want to go check it out. I want to be part of this thing. But you are invited to many events as a speaker or as a contributor in other ways. Let's zoom to that. Let's shift to that for a second. If you look at the last 2 years, what are some of the favorite events that you've been to or you've spoken at, and why?
Yeah. I'll start with South by Southwest. I try and go every year, and okay, sometimes I speak there, sometimes I don't. That's not really the goal. For me, the goal there is to sort of put my finger on the pulse of where technology is going in culture, in media, in business. And I think, yeah, I think being there, it's just as a kind of, thought exercise, and going to the different sessions, meeting different people. I always come away with some pretty good ideas on where things might be heading next. And even though we have our core program, I'm always sort of designing, different kind of fringe topics, like maybe AI in art, or AI in media, AI in music, or AI in mental health, or I think AI and psychedelics might be the next big thing. Not sure if I'm allowed to leave that the AI for good, but you know what I mean. You get those kind of forward-looking conversations, which I think are right on the pulse there, probably more than anywhere else.
And do you think there it comes out of, because they've been at the advent of social media as well, right?
Yeah,
It was the breeding ground for a lot of the social media, stepping stones back, what, 15, 20 years ago. Um, do you think that comes because it was originally a music and a film festival, culturally based, that then attracted the tech space that then developed that aspect of it? Or do you think that DNA, that original seed, leads to this kind of cultural environment where, and I'm saying it like this because I feel an event, like, we can't stop saying that, show me an organization's event and I'll tell you about their culture, right? So if you go to an actual event, it's like sampling the culture of that organization for the 2, 3, 4, 5 days that you go to that event.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Um,
no, I think that's definitely a big part of why and how South by Southwest became what it was.
yeah,
Yeah, I think bringing, as many different voices to the table, but also starting with like the cutting edge musicians, and the actors, the artists, the also athletes. And yeah, I think there's that kind of, collision of that creative world and performance world with tech, which is really interesting. And maybe I've kind of shamelessly plagiarized myself for AI for Good, where I mean, by design, I've also and maybe also a bit of self-interest. So I'm also a musician, drummer. I've been playing music my whole life, so I'm very into music. And there's actually some interesting parallels between making music, performing music, and putting on a show, to putting on an event, actually. Or so, yeah, you could do a whole podcast on the cross pollination of those two
yes,
different. No, but back to the topic. Yeah, I've really made a big effort to bring our artists to the table. I mean, this year we had Don Was, the producer of the Rolling Stones, there. Will I Am, Black Eyed Peas. He's our AI Skills Coalition ambassador, but also different artists from different orchestras or ballet schools, sculptors, poets. And I think that's probably done as much as the tech industry to inform the AI narrative as the summit.
mm,
I actually brought one of my favorite drummers to the summit, Jojo Mayer. I don't know if you know him.
yes.
And
He's trying to
he
disprove that the machine is better than the human, right?
yeah, and the way he talked about it, he was like, look, I was arguably replaced by the drum machine in the 80s, right? It can play longer, faster, it has 100 arms and legs. Like, I can't beat it. But out of that frustration, it pushed him to push the limits of his own drumming, and create this illusion of a drum machine being played by a human, but in doing so, actually created new genres of drumming that didn't
Yeah,
exist.
yeah,
And then he came back again, and this was after COVID, where he had this kind of Gen AI powered drum set, where he would basically play it, and it would play back different guitar riffs or bass lines in real time, and he would improvise to it, pushing him to another level of performance that he was, not able to do beforehand. So if someone's like worried about how's AI going to affect my job, or is it going to steal this or that, you can look to that artist and be like, well, look how it pushed him in that direction, and maybe it could
yeah,
do the same for you. Like, maybe you're not thinking about it, right? So,
yeah.
I think having these artists there is really amazing. As a side
It's
note,
super inspiring, right? To
yeah, yeah,
see, because you can imagine the challenge. You don't have the skill set. You see that person's conundrum or dilemma. Um, you, he includes the technology to test himself in real time almost, right? Like,
Yeah.
and he turns it into the story and then improves his capacity to deal with it, which I think is I really like that. And I've seen his work of Jojo Meyer. If you haven't, we'll make sure to include a link in the show notes. Fred, if you have any like specific clips from that, I'll be happy to
Yeah,
include that
his
in our
whole
show notes.
performance was recorded. It's on YouTube, so I can share
Yeah.
that with you. It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
To me, that's like fascinating to see, because music is so universal and so basic to culture. It's such a powerful conduit, right? Like you're saying, as a drummer, I myself was a long time trumpet player. Now I play
All
the
right.
alp horn of all musical instruments, because it is one of the most difficult things to do, and you need to continuously challenge yourself in multiple facets, right? To expand your experience levels, right? And on that note, having lived and worked in multiple countries, right? If I would ask ChatGPT this question about Fred Werner, it believes that you've lived in Belgium, lived and worked in Belgium, UK, Senegal, Turkey, Austria, Switzerland, Hungary, and the Philippines.
Yeah.
He's probably missed a few or he's added a few. I have no idea. You can tell us the truth. But this gives you a very cosmopolitan lens, but it also makes you, what I recently learned, to be a third culture kid. I don't know if you've come across that term.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, how has that influenced your leadership style or your ability? You alluded to it before, your ability to build community quite quickly in a new environment, um, and being inclusive of that community. How have those things shaped you, do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think like you growing up, moving to the Philippines, like these days, if you go from country to country, it wasn't the same as back then. Like we might as well have been moving to Mars. I mean, going from, I went from the UK to Manila to Istanbul to what was then still communist Budapest. That's not like going from Holland to Belgium to Germany to France. It's seismic shifts.
Yeah.
And
And no
so I think,
internet, only airmail blue light paper that you had
yeah,
to stick in an envelope and hope it
yeah,
arrived
one,
at the
one
other
phone
end.
call per year home, and when you pick up the phone, someone else is listening to it, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so I think with that comes definitely a bit of, yeah, definitely a comfort with um, adaptability and improvisation and uncertainty. So I think being extremely comfortable with just not knowing, because if you're going to be uprooted from one day to the next from what you think is your home, and then every time you get comfortable, you're into this new
You pack up
environment.
and you move again. Yeah.
Yeah, you get, it's just a matter of perspective, where what might stress someone else out might seem like not so, like such a big problem, so you get used to uncertainty and sort of risk, and also adapting. So I think that helps in an environment where there's a lot of uncertainty and things are just moving super, super quick. I think also just the cultural thing. I mean, we were probably not super self-aware at the time, but because as kids you don't know better. But
Mm.
at one point you just do learn to, interact. You learn the cultural ways of people from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
How they speak, what they mean, the different subtleties, the nuances, and and then I think you just do kind of get this perspective of, there's, more than one view, more than one opinion, more than, and not judging people based on where they're from and their culture and their religion. So I think having that sort of very, neutral, open mindset is very helpful, because when
Mm.
you're dealing with people from all over the world, I think they can feel it, that you're not coming at it as a Westerner or as a certain religion or a certain belief system or priority, so people kind of feel that. So I think that can help to just collaborate with people. And then, of course, always being the new kid in town, uh, yeah, you kind of need to make friends pretty quick, or you're gonna have a rough ride. So,
Yeah.
but then also when I would see new kids coming, I would also make an effort to welcome them, because I knew what it felt like to be the new kid. So I think
Yeah.
that's where you have the community building spirit, where it's like, hey, come join the gang kind of thing. So, and I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
people, it's maybe not something that can be taught, or it's just kind of something that comes naturally if you've always been in that setting, and that's also been helpful. So so yeah, being very used to change. I think, being very open and non-judgmental of people from around the world, but also being very welcoming and being able to bring people together, I think has helped a lot.
I think I fully endorse and share that experience. I'm reading a lot and trying to learn more about what that third culture kid dimension means in the current world, because it's also dramatically changed as technology has changed, right? And the interoperability of people in different countries has become much bigger than it was back in the 80s when we were growing up, so to say. Funnily enough, one of our next projects will be the International Baccalaureate Organization, which from the international school system we know all too well, I suppose.
Yeah.
And that has taken a massive flight as well. There's more international connectivity and through flow of kids going through school in multiple countries and multiple cultures, which I think is a really good omen for the ability to build community, like you're saying, and having, being sensible about inclusivity, not just in word and in let's say systems, but in doing, right? And being a good host and making that come naturally instead of having to learn that from books or from systems or ask questions to systems about it. If you've lived it, it's hard to forget, right?
Yeah, I think people can tell when it's forced or not genuine, or like, oh, we're just ticking an inclusivity box here. Like they can tell when it comes from a good place, or if it's just yeah. So yeah, I think that's also, and people feel that when you're building a community. Yeah.
So for those that have never been to the AI for Good Summit, next year I see on your profile 7 through 10 July 2026. The next tidal wave will be happening at PAL Expo in Geneva. Can anyone sign up and go to this, or are there pre-qualifying criteria?
No, anyone can go. So it's open, and you can register already. Registration's already open. No program is up yet, but if you look at last year's program, you probably get a feel for what to expect.
Yeah.
I think what's going to be really interesting next year is just out in New York, there was a resolution passed that the global dialogue on AI governance will actually take place alongside the AI for Good Global Summit in Geneva next year. Mm-hmm. So we've always had a lot of member states there, but they were there because they're interested and they want to learn and they want to collaborate. But now you have a kind of a UN mandated member state process on AI governance happening as part of the back-to-back with the summit at the same time. So that's going to add an interesting political dynamic to it, which was always there, but never in such a formalized way. So you could expect, more, maybe more heads of state or different political actors there. So I would say that's probably something new that will be added. Yeah.
Fantastic. I want to thank you a lot for hanging out with us backstage, Fred. This has been a real treat. We must meet for a coffee, lunch, or something else in the soonest of matters, because it is ridiculous that we haven't taken the time to do that yet. I will make a personal mission out of that. Thank you for hanging out backstage with our audience. If people want to learn more or connect to you on LinkedIn, can we add your LinkedIn details? They can reach out to you?
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. We'll do that. We'll add the AI for Good link to the event next year. And thank you for sharing so openly your experience and the challenges and opportunities that AI for Good Global Summit has brought you and the ITU. And I think this is very enlightening for people in our community who are the neural network of event designers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Who are faced with the AI reality on a daily basis and are scrambling to figure out how to best use it. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Yeah, thanks for the invitation.
You've been hanging out backstage on Design to Change Designer Conversations. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe and share conversations online using hashtag Design to Change and hashtag Event Canvas. Want more thought-provoking content like this? Visit designtochange.online to purchase your copy of Design to Change, elevating your abilities to look and act beyond the now. Don't forget, it's more than just a book. Experience a hard copy, audio format, video format, and even augmented reality. Experience it in your style and format. Tune into our next episodes and hear from more designers and change makers. Until then, we look forward to our next conversation.